Well, again, I've been thinking a million and one thoughts and sat here staring at this screen for 40 minutes now, waiting to start this, and thought about things that I would begin it with. And actually, in my mind, I have about 14 different beginnings for this that all have extreme deep meanings to them, but none of them really, unless someone's in the mood, if you know what I'm saying, and in the moment, would probably feel it the way that I'm trying to put out. And then I would try to waste 10, 15 minutes in a deeper explanation and do the things that I do and go off in left field. This is 35 Reasons Why You Should Feel Proud to Be an American. It was put out July 4th of 2018, so just a couple of years ago. And we can imagine how America was doing just a couple of years ago. We can imagine how America was doing 15 years ago. We can imagine how America was doing at 9/11. But can you remember how America was doing 6 months before that? And the way the world was a different place. I feel that coming out of this, the world is going to be a slightly different place, and we keep doing this nudging thing and pushing around and jostling, kind of like continents jostling into each other. And things change over time. But lately there's been a thing about this, and this probably becomes more fervent and more needed in a modern day than even 2 years ago when this was put out. But it was needed to be put out then because just a couple of years ago it was already in that Trump hatred everything, and try to make something out of it. And it was being pushed by the media. And no matter what you do, you're going to remember that this was being pushed by the media, and they turned a man into a witch hunt that was trying to help America desperately, and it got turned flip side because the Dems wouldn't go with him, and he still accomplished great things, and the only thing that put the hiccup in him, or his administration, was this sickness that ran around, and then the media also ran with that, and it turned into a large thing, just an incredible thing. And I think that it became such a thing because they then had you to where you had to watch their crap, and whenever you had to watch their crap, they could fill your mind full of crap. See how that works? Well, let's just get into this, and believe me, that's not one of the ones that I wanted to start this with. There's a simple way to take the true measure of a country. Think of how many people want to get in and how many people want to get out. Tony Blair said this. Tony Blair is the prime minister, was there for a while. And the only thing I guess I can refer to is all of the importation of people, this mass amount that was doing. And I don't know, this was kind of fervent back then. There were hundreds of thousands of people coming in illegally across our borders, and we wouldn't let them come in other ways, so people were just going to Mexico and then coming up through it. And they caught 9,000 Africans and all kinds of different people trying to do it at the end, and it makes you wonder what happened before then and how many illegal people we have in here, because there is in the millions and millions and millions. And some people have been able to, due to our lax government and the way that we run things, we aren't so big brother, there's a lot of men here that are going generational. Yeah. And so that people want to get in, but the problem becomes that you can't let all that happen because a lot of them are coming from third world countries, and you can't make your world your country a third world country, because then nobody would want to go there, and the people that were there, it would cause a big problem. And then between all those people coming in and everything that's trying to ruin it, and it would cause this huge problem that we're experiencing some now of And can you imagine if they were able to keep that hiccup going and the little wall wasn't being put up and the stoppage of people coming in? And everybody thinks that, oh, it just ended. No, we still let hundreds of thousands in there now. And now they're trying to say, well, everybody that got in, they all just, hey, you got in before the cops show up, so you're in. And the Dems are trying to do this type of thing. It's terribly disgusting that you can see their directives and what they want to do, and they're just willing to ruin America for a false concept of idea they've come up with, and it's basically communism. And nobody wants to go with this Marxist, communist, any of that. We are the thing that is not that has been the shining beacon of the world. The greatness of America lies in not being more enlightened than other nations, but rather in her ability to repair her faults. Alex de Tocqueville said this. I would say that's not necessarily the way I would put it out there, but yes, she has been able to repair her faults in any way and correct herself to a point, better than any other point. It seems like you take other ones and if you tweak it a little bit, it all falls apart. Whereas this engine has been made to conform to what needed to happen, and it's a special engine. By the way, engines are done by Caucasians, and all this thing has been brought about by those, and a certain sect of those actually, pretty much. And the hatred towards those who are bringing us things like the devices we're talking on now, and airplanes and spaceships and everything, and they fix it for diseases and all kinds of things, are being hated on by people that couldn't have been able to put us where we are now in the first place. And so there's an envy and jealousy that goes on with that also causes us the problem. And you can imagine if you let a bunch of people in your country that are like that, then it strengthens the sad. That's not a good way to go. You talk about patriotism. Patriot starts with pater, and that means father. And so you're fathering in and heralding in this great civilization. And people are trying to knock it off in left field. In fact, they've pulled everything so far out in left field, they're up in the cheap seats. And whenever I was a kid was left field is now what the right's trying to hold on to, if you follow me. Yeah, there gets to a point there where you can go so far out in the left that you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. A recent poll indicated that a record low 47% of Americans were extremely proud of their country. It's not entirely surprising when you consider the very tiny percentage of people who are patriotic at the major sources of influence, the mainstream media, Hollywood, TV, big tech, and other public education systems. I'm guessing that if you isolated the survey to that group, it would register at less than 5%. In other words, Americans are bombarded with the anti-American propaganda 24/7, 365. And you're living in it. Anti-white, oh, you were bad, heralds of civilization and everything that we have around us, you're bad now. Right. The ones that helped out the ones that are bitching so much, the only ones that were, they're terrible. Let's examine a list of 35 reasons why you should ignore these negative voices and realize that the United States is the greatest country on earth. You have nothing to be ashamed of in being extremely proud to be an American. Oh, and I could play a background music right now. I get flagged for, and I'd really like maybe somebody download this and put a bunch of pictures and collages instead of my voice and reading it off to you here, basically, and it'd probably come across a whole lot better. But one thing to realize that we can come up with 35 reasons, but y'all can come up with a 36th or a 37th, 38th down there. And I welcome this. I welcome this. I welcome this. And also, I welcome you on anything that's said here or what they say. Number one, two, three, and these aren't in any exacting order, by the way, that you could add to that. And so you would put on one and say something, or on four, or on 13, or on 35. Or you can say 36, they didn't mention this. 37, 38, 39. It's not like you have to look through and count up and go, am I 41 or 42? Just put it in there. Okay? So think about that as we go through. And it's, this isn't one of those things where you only get one cookie. If you feel like saying something about every single damn thing that I say or they say here, go for it. Don't be ashamed or anything. Feel your patriotism. We are coming through July 4th. I feel like this is being a weird one to me. And the only one that in my lifetime has been weirder has been the bicentennial, where it was really kicking off. And we felt like, they should have something huge about it. And we did a big thing. But if only we were in the modern age, man, we could have done wow. But so what's the exact date of this? It's so special and everything. No, it's nothing. We just were trapped in our houses, at least a portion of the population was, while the others worked 24/7 as usual for 3 or 4 months. And then when we got let out and ta-da, like kids getting out of school, some people went ape shit. And because and right at a perfect time of letting everybody loose, things happened and kicked off. And the media, they try to twist it. Not like there's not the reason that the cops were called in the first place, and that might even be the problems of anything, but it's all about what, it can't be about, no. Never mind, let's get into this. The U.S. government gives more foreign aid than all other countries in the world combined. I don't know if you're aware of that, but your tax dollars end up being, and I don't know if all of us agree totally on this, but your tax dollars make so much that we give out billions a year to other countries in foreign aid to help keep them alive, like people in South Africa and stuff. And all over the world, though, aid packages that go in a deficit form, billions of dollars every year, that if we just turned off would make a whole lot of revenue, but instead we're a giving, caring, and sharing people that are hated. And some people even say you're trying to flaunt it whenever you help them out, and then somebody else slaps their hand and puts their hand out and goes, I don't mind, please help us. It's weird, but there's this envy thing going on. We should all be spaceships, and it's like, dude, we don't shoot them up that often yet. We should get there. If all the world got behind it and everything, we probably could, but that's another problem. Number 2, U.S. corporations and citizens make more charitable donations than the rest of the world combined. All of the world. Donations are the highest both in aggregate and per capita by the common folk of wanting to give a portion of their money. Oh, those Americans are so rich. Oh, those Americans are so good. I grew up on commercials about Ethiopians and other people that were snotty-nosed kids with flies on them and bulbous bellies, and won't you please give some money? And then you come find out as you're growing up later that less than 5 cents of every dollar you gave went to that, and it made these people rich and all this stuff. What? Oh yeah, there's a bunch of that going around. But number 3, Americans corrected its biggest historical sin, slavery, although it wasn't theirs, by fighting a war that cost 500,000 soldiers their lives. It has continually tried to make up for that mistake since then with affirmative action, civil rights laws, race-based college grants, and more. Now, most people see that this is actually a mistake upon a mistake, And Abraham Lincoln even said himself that there's going to be incompatibility that's going to cause problems for as long as he could see it, and he was trying to unify a nation. And so they were supposed to go back. They formed Liberia from it. Morovia is named after James Monroe, and all these people got into trying to help it out and get it started. But look into Liberia and what happened out of that if you're not aware. But they say that it's our mistake, and that's something that's weird. It's always looked at as being our mistake, whenever the Caucasians of Northern Europe really weren't so much of a part of it. And you have somebody's heritage like mine of Irish, and they were the first slaves in America, and 6 times the amount. And you can say indentured servitude if you want to, but there was all looked at as indentured servitude because that's the way it was God, and that was the most that you could do. And so there were a whole lot of free blacks that were just really, to be honest, recent primitives that had no idea what was going on. But even black people have said that this affirmative action has really caused problems. Sure, they all want civil rights laws, and we're going to treat them all the same. You have to act like that. But whenever we have those laws, a lot of them end up in jail because they can't stand up to them. A lot of these laws, like don't kill white people, or don't kill yourself. If they catch you killing another black person, you'll go to jail too. You can believe how many black people are in jail for killing black people. But that's not what this video is about pulling and picking them out necessarily. But they do definitely have a huge problem that everybody wants to ignore and try to say it's the white people's problem somehow whenever they cause 6 times the amount of crime, being a small percentage still left in America. But they get race-based college grants and things and everything. And so when you start looking at affirmative action and race-based college grants and all these other things that they get, that's actually racism, because you're doing something for a race. But it's felt like they need this crutch. Well, if you didn't give them affirmative action, a lot of them, well, they wouldn't pass school and all these other things. Well, that's a downfall that we should talk about, as opposed to doing the fake thing and lying through their educational process in life. 4, the U.S. saved the world from Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union and many other totalitarian regimes and Japan. When I talked to my daughter about this not too long ago, she brought up, when all this crap brought up, and she said, that somebody said something that the U.S. wasn't the greatest nation anymore in something or whatever, and it was questionable. And then she kind of said it too. And so I started mentioning things like what's mentioned on this list here, but I in no way had a developed list like this. But I also mentioned to her that we saved ourselves from Japan while we saved all of Europe. Yeah. And I don't know how much respect there's given for that fact, except sometimes from the British. But they've always had a slight chip on their shoulder because we left them anyhow, but we left them, and then they had to turn into something trying to mock us, and it's gone back and forth quite a bit. And that's bettered the world. And people don't like this. And British colonizers and all this stuff and everything. And it's funny that all this stuff that happened with British colonizers, and they say American white people, and it's like, we weren't the British. You idiot. But it keeps going. It keeps going. White man bad. Primitive fantastic. America spent billions as part of the Marshall Plan, and that's been a long time ago, whenever that means almost trillions now, by the way, but, and this Marshall Plan, you ought to look into that. There's some things about that, too, that are unsettling, but yet, overwhelmingly, it's worked well for the world. It transformed a continent ravaged by World War II into thriving, stable European nations. A person living in poverty in America has a standard of living that would be considered wealthy in most countries of the world. Think about that. Most Americans living below the poverty level are well fed and have cars, TVs, clothing, and roof over their heads, health care, and many other items that would be considered luxuries in third world countries. Now, this is not meant to satiate people that are in that position in any way to say it, but just mentioning that to people who are perhaps right above that level and know that it's around. And I know that we all want to raise that up. We want to raise that up. Everybody talks about the middle class and everything else, and look, it all follows suit. If you raise the underbelly, lower class, up into a lower medium class of people, middle class becomes a little more fancy, and yet then upper class becomes now these people that get super rich off this, Bill Gates and all this stuff, are supposed to blow a lot of money back into it, making the world go around. Not enough of that happens, by the way. And then sometimes when you look into some of their things that happen, not so good. Not so much. So, yeah, and by the way, this thing like cars, that's Caucasians, TVs, clothings that we have now, and special ones, and all kinds of stuff, waterproof, roof over their heads that's worth having, health care. Just, we'll get into all this stuff more, but think about that and who brought that to the world to the next level and keeps doing so. Sure, we can help you out and help you teach you to, but who is spurning that on and taking that on to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, and helping us all? Well, yeah, you'd think that somebody like this would have gotten selfish, built up real big, and then took over the world and said, screw y'all, and tried to pull some crap. But they end up being the heralds of civilization. And oh man, people are just envious and hate us for it for some reason, when all we're trying to do is help them out. No country in the world is as tolerant of religious and non-religious beliefs. Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindi, Taoist, atheist, agnostic, saintist, and even all live together in harmony somewhat. No one is persecuted for their religious or non-religious beliefs, although it does get a little shuffly chappity. People get a little chapped ass every now and then. If you think about it and what goes on in other countries in the exact same situation, it makes you in awe of what the hell's going on over there. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, let's continue. Number nine. No nation takes in more immigrants, both legal and illegal. That first part's, incredible. That second part is not good so much. For if we regulated and saw if they're up to the standards that we have to have, and that's bad, and we need to change on. No. You go to some third world communist country you have in your mind and do that type of stuff to keep up to the standards of who we let in and do things. They'd have to be all run through a filter. I'm not sure very many of those people would make it through the filter. Yeah, we do a modern cuckling thing and try to let most of them through the filter, and you can see how the Dems would fight for that and everything, and it's getting way out of hand. Yeah, wakey. This whole point what I'm talking about now is the thing that needs to come up, and somebody needs to put a torch on that and go, no. Look at that. Look at this and look at that. Is this our problem? Look at this. Look at that. Is this our problems? Swamp. America spends more on education than any other country on earth, which is supplemented by an endless supply of free or low-cost educational opportunities such as YouTube, Khan Academy, and public libraries, and thanks to the internet, much of this education is available to the world. I do most of my research on that. I have a bunch of old books I've been through, and I've got the little parts in my mind and stuff about my spit out all the time to y'all and stuff. I don't have to coagulate to that, but up until recently, I didn't get on YouTube. I guess part of the reason I even did was because there are people putting on just goofy stuff, trying to get people to believe all kinds of goofy stuff about things that I know a lot about. And then there was people that would put a video out and they would tell you about something and be a little vague, and I'd be like, dude, I could tell you about that. And then they would ask a question and say, well, nobody knows. And that triggered me because I was like, dude, there are a lot of people that know the answer to that question, and you're just putting it off on people like what the hell are you doing? And so I thought I'd come out with it. And it's not that I know everything, but I have peered through the veil and found a lot of things. I've been down 1,001 rabbit holes, and guess what I found? And I think I should share it. And it's odd, but it's getting to be more important, almost like I was supposed to be doing this a long time ago, and I didn't do it. But you can find out internet and things like that, and that's, people are saying that also is what's helping ruin it all. I could see your point because it helps turn SJW freakies. And if you want to look up one certain point, like, oh, hatred against blah, X, you'll find it, and then it's in your sidebar, and then you find more of it, and after you've looked at it 10 times, YouTube says, you want to see all this stuff? Well, here, look. And then it's all in your face, and then they keep saying, it's all over, it's happening, everybody, they're lynching people again, and all kinds of stuff, and it's like, no, that was the rope that takes oh my God, you're believing in all kinds of things, aren't you? They've already taken you, haven't they? Can you climb back out of a rabbit hole? If you find any daylight, can you crawl up out of it? The American government takes care of its poorest citizens with an endless array of benefits: welfare, food stamps, Medicaid, Medicare, job training, college grants, tax credits, and so on. This is all meant to help make that lower part I was talking about jump up a notch. There's a lot of people that are living on it instead and becoming a leech. So while it can be a help, it can be a hinder. People in their best intentions could put something on the table as looking like it's just fantastic, and then people will find a way to abuse it, and it's not so much. Along with the British, the United States put together a system of government that has become the standard in free democracies around the world. And this has been a kind of a development. If you'll look back in my studies that we talk about, these people, these Sumerians had it going on, the Akkadians had some of it going on, the Egyptians had it going on, the Phoenicians that nobody really knows about it had it going on, the Proto-Indo-Europeans had it going on, yeah, but Greeks and then Romans, and then it comes through into a modern day like an adorned thing, and here we are today. And so it's not just something recent. What we were able to do is whenever we found a new land, we were able to do something with it that had never been done before. For it not to be religiously downtrodden and all against it, no. We're not doing that again. We're going to try something else. And it has ended up heralding so much. I have said a few times in a few of my videos what my granddad witnessed in his life go from horse buggies, which was not too much more advanced than chariots and coaches and carts and things from the Roman days, and very few advances above that. But boy, you get a steam engine going and railroads and everything, and he got to see all of that happen through transistor radio and then television flight, of course, and everything. And wow, it's just incredible. Oh yeah, check this out, computers, and now we went into space and everything, and he got to witness it all. I got to talk to him about it a few times, but he realized he was the point in history there where you could, inside of one person's lifetime, have witnessed the largest change that we've probably ever seen to date. But look where we're going. And whenever I was a kid, we thought we were going to be Jetsons by now, and so it would have been just an expounding upon that. Of course, I thought by now my granddad might still be alive because of medicines and some other stuff, and he lived to be 112 and will have witnessed us being the Jetsons, and we'd be sputtering around. And I would say something stupid like, yeah, do you remember whenever you came to live with us? Whenever you and Grandma got older and stuff, and we used to watch that stupid cartoon, The Jetsons? Well, this is our rendition of that car. Here we are doing those things. And Granddad, we helped book with us. We're going to the moon base Alpha for a vacation, and we have a ticket for you. And we want you to witness it before, hey, get a medical clearance, let's go. Anyhow, things haven't worked out just quite like that. American laws and its litigation systems prevent discrimination based on race, gender, age, religion, disability, and sexual orientation even now. Now they've since this written another part onto there that says you can't on that you can't freak out on a freak out, which a lot of people disagree with, but whatever. Yeah. Let's just continue. America has true freedom of speech and press unless you're on YouTube, which they try to monitor things and will not let you say certain words or things. Like I recently had a video knocked away, and then I'm banned from a while from being able to upload, slap your hand, do it 3 times, 3 strikes, and you're out at bat. And it's like, that's not free speech. You've made up these rules, like you've got this comedy hour and 3 times you're booed off the stage or something and everything. That's not the way it works. That, hey, they may have had that even in old Greek theater and stuff, where somebody'd come out and be an orator and be like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't go out and orate anymore. Hold on, let me put some more stuff together and come out with another comedy bit. You don't want comedians to give up like that, do you? Then again, who said comedians are supposed to be facing people with tomatoes anyhow? Knock, knock. But if we were to be a place that had true freedom of speech and press for all, which means we can expose the wrongs, debate courses of actions civilly, and allow the best ideas to win out over the worst ones over time. And in fact, that's kind of what's going on, but some people are extremely impatient, and others want to take a small thing and say it's the thing that's happening, and then a big thing and cover it under a rug and say, let's not talk about that. And no one wants to talk about the ant. Or they all want to talk about the ant and not the mound he's sitting on. And what's in that ant mound that we need to talk about, but we'll probably avoid again. For it's one of the things that you can't talk about. Yeah, we have Voldemorts. It's impossible to say true freedom of speech and then have that situation, though, isn't it? Isn't it, people? We have the strongest military by far, yet rather than use the power to take over countries and the world, we use it to preserve world peace and stability. We use it to strengthen borders. In fact, in the last few world wars, when it all went to shit, we went all back and we put the puzzle pieces right back where they were and went, no, slapped the hands and did everything and got it back to normal. Yeah, even Kuwait or something like that, things, yeah. That's the way it goes. We could easily, of course, if we started doing it, the Soviets would start to go, no. I think we agreed between them this wasn't going to be the way that it was a long time ago, because then that just puts it, it just makes, and you're gonna do it. You can't do that. Everybody's got to have their own spice. Well, everybody wants to move to America and stuff or something. And no, let's stop. Everybody fix yourself up slowly over time. Let's keep going. Da da da. Well, you're accelerating much faster than any other country. There's a reason for that. We're helping you out more than any other country. Please stop the hatred whenever we're the ones helping you and giving you things that you're discovering things on. Just stop it. It's an easy thing to people to configure that we could have taken over the world, quite a few. Oh, well, the Soviets would have. Those are white people too. Knock knock. 17. America has an unmatched set of entertainment options: movies, Netflix, video games, TV, sports, plays, beaches, fitness clubs, music, streaming, social media, art galleries, festivals, concerts, and on and on and on. And I could probably get a tab over here and pause video. Well, wish I could do that with this one, right? And then come up with 20 more things to say and then start spitting it out to you too. That would be interesting things that we could do, or break down each one of these. But also those things all invent, games and sports and stuff come from Olympic events, all derived from Caucasian sports and plays. Beaches and beach going and the Beach Boys and all the things that happen, but they've been doing that for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Fitness clubs, all that kind of concept goes way back. In fact, the word gymnasium comes back from Greeks, but it wasn't like they were the first person to try to pick up something. Music streaming, though, social media, and all the things that we can do on the internet. Americans have a greater access to internet and cell phones than any country in the world. Number 18. In fact, they have internet and cell phones. I'm of an age, and I don't know how many people are here, that used to be the phone had to be attached to the wall. And so you would get an extra long extension cord that had a curly effect to it, and you could pull it. When you wanted to talk to your friends, you would pull it down through the kitchen and into the other room and try to shut the door, but you would be just barely on the other side of the door. Yeah. That got to be such an old thing that my sister got a phone in her room. Did I ever get one? No. I didn't necessarily need that much. And then a couple of years, and then we got the wireless kind. But if you walked out on the patio, and it'd hang up at them. And if I tried to walk into my room, and you would hang up on them. So it didn't work so well back then and everything. But, walkie-talkies. I had friends up the street that I could talk to on walkie-talkies, and we do too, like over Christmas time. What'd you get and stuff? But, yeah, I got a walkie-talkie. Got a pair of them. I got one, gave him one, and he can listen to it and stuff, and we tried to do that. We tried to stay up real late and everything. And anyhow, but that whole concept of having that cell phone and stuff, and everybody's got them now, and it's just a way to make money. You want it, it's a way for us to contact you to tell you what products we need, and we're trading with the world. It's an amazing thing. Well, can we just trade our ass and live in America? No, fix yourself up. Take a look at what we've got. The beauty of it all is you've got something different but valuable, and it's your whole heritage too. There, not here, there. Sure, we can do Chinatown and everything, but that's about the extent of it. Don't push it. The U.S. has a free market system that has led to the world's highest per capita income and standard of living ever. Anyone can start a business and go from rags to riches. In fact, there are millions of stories of people who have become a millionaire, which whenever I was a kid was really something, but now it'd be called a 200,000-aire. And but that's still a lot of money, but not near as much as it used to have been. And the millionaire Thurston Howell III on Gilligan's Island is much more common. The U.S. has the strongest, most reliable system of public utilities: electricity, water, sewer, incorporated, etc. Number 20. And we've set the standard for water qualities and things like that, and other people have adopted our methods that we've gone through, and Not that we have the most fantastic clean water. Once people have started adopting filtered water, then it changed everything. And believe it or not, my granddad used to make a joke out of that long before I ever saw bottled water. It was right whenever Perrier and things like that were coming out. So it's long before bottled real water, was coming out. And he goes, "You watch, one of these days they'll sell you a bottled water for as much as a Coke." And everybody laughed, said nobody would buy it. And I remember somebody making the comment it wouldn't be worth 5 cents. But here we are. Most world-changing technologies such as the internet, personal computer, automobiles, smartphones, and Google search engine were developed in America. YouTube, you're seeing this on right now, was developed in America, and all the things that actually led up to it. In fact, if you look in that computer and all those funny little things, transistors, capacitors, all that stuff, yep, yep, yeah, look around, yep, 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 all Caucasians, all through a derived series of things they developed. It is amazing. The U.S. has among the best system of roads, bridges, and other infrastructure. And if you look around, a lot of countries are copying it, and I would say the British are very much like it. One thing the British have that we don't have very much of, but some, are these roundabouts, you call them, or what's the other word? Somebody will write it down in the comments. I have some British people here. And but roundabout. And I remember the first time I ever saw, well, I actually remember driving around one at the front of this place with flags around it one time when I was a kid. And you took off in this way, that way, or pulled in here, or kept going, and you pulled out that way, that way. If you kept going, it was, there you are again, there you are again. And it was Mr. Bean, and he was trying to get off in a certain thing, and ha ha ha, and everything about it. And I was like, God, that's got to be complicated. They were portraying so. But of course, this went over like hoots to American audience. But we have a downtown system here in Dallas, by the way, that it was a joke, and that if you took the wrong exit, no matter where you were going, you ended up headed towards Waco. And I think it was my Uncle Charles or my dad that made up the joke that if you take a full tank of gas and you drive into downtown Dallas and it shoots you toward Waco, about the time you run out of gas is right about Waco, and that's how they formed Waco. It's a joke. They also said something about wacko, Waco, and da da da, and ha ha ha, and made a joke. My uncle had this great joke about Mahia. Yeah, so, but I'll tell that in another video, for I'm getting close to 45, and man, this is going to go into double because they won't shut up. Most of the greatest medical discoveries and life-changing, oh wait, no, wait. Roads, 22, I'm on 23. Although still too expensive, healthcare accessibility for top physicians, medications, surgeries, technology, and other modern medicine is second to none. In fact, people have said that if we turned it into that other form of medication everybody was trying to go to, that's kind of socialistic kind of ish, that you wouldn't have that anymore, and you wouldn't have doctors on the cutting edge as much anymore, and that it would just flatten things down. And it looks like, things like that, and holding back on space age and everything seems to be, almost gets to be a directive where they just put a topper on it, try to put another ceiling on. Well, we broke the glass ceiling. Well, let's put up one made of titanium. Well, we kind of created titanium. Most of the greatest medical discoveries and life-changing pharmaceuticals have come from American companies. From AIDS drugs to things that are very common, aspirin and stuff that are known around the world. And sure, when we were a kid, they had opium and stuff and things like that. And nowadays, oh, that's bad. But back then, if you were in pain, you took this. Nowadays, you'd have to go to a doctor, and there's a money-making mill out of it, and everybody wants to make a money-making mill out of it. But if they made it easy access, people would OD on stuff because of getting hooked on things and stuff. And there has to be this give and take because of a lot of people that are easily addictive and stuff that goes on with that. But the U.S. has a very stable system of police and courts to protect us while preserving our liberties. And we're going to actually cut this off here and go to part 2, because that needs to be discussed in a little bit more, and I'll start part